Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are really wading into some deep and turbulent waters.
Definitely high stakes territory.
We're analyzing sources detailing a major political event in Tanzania. Specifically, we have a summary of a viral video, and it features Captain Taisha, an officer from the Tanzania People's Defense Force, the TPDF.
Yeah, and this isn't just commentary. It's an active military officer making a, well, incredibly direct and critical statement. Very risky stuff about where the country's headed.
It feels profoundly risky just hearing about it.
Absolutely. So the source we have, it's basically a summary of this, like hour plus political manifesto. Delivered by someone in the military.
Okay.
Our mission here, for you listening, is to get to the heart of it. Why now? What exactly is he demanding? Who is he calling out?
So we're pulling out the main demands, the specific people he alleges are part of a deep state, the history he cites, the grievances, and this pretty unprecedented call to action aimed at the military leadership and Tanzanian citizens. We're talking serious allegations here, corruption, even political assassination, and a demand for military intervention.
It really sets the stage for a potential crisis.
Yeah.
You can only imagine the personal danger he's in just for recording this.
Okay, let's unpack this. What is the absolute core message? He's speaking out now, risking everything. Why? And what's the immediate instruction, the main thing he wants done right now?
Well, he starts very clearly, identifies himself, Captain Taisha, TPDF. He frames it all as a moral duty. He says, you know, he knows the consequences could be severe, personally severe, but he feels it's his sworn duty to warn the nation. He uses the phrase, great danger. So it's positioned as a last resort, not politics, but saving the state itself.
And the urgency he calls for, that's what feels so different. He's not asking for a committee or, talks. He wants a full system reset now.
Exactly. He completely bypasses the political system. His argument is basically that the TPDF, the military, is the only institution left that people trust. Their last hope. So based on that, he advises the Chief of Defense Forces, the CDF, the very top military leader, to, well, immediately take over the country.
Take over the country? Wonderful.
Effectively, yeah. Demanding a military-led transition to, quote, set things right. And a key part of this, immediately suspend the upcoming election.
Suspending an election? I mean, short of wartime, that's about as drastic as it gets constitutionally, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
But he's not advocating for a long-term military dictatorship or anything. He suggests a very specific kind of temporary government.
Okay, so who does he want the military leaders to consult with during this extraordinary period?
He stresses it needs to be nonpartisan, guided by people known for integrity, for patriotism. He actually names names.
Ooh.
Z. Joseph Warioba, Humphrey Polpol, who we'll come back to, Z. Joseph Butiku, and Judge Robert Makaramba. These are figures often seen as sort of elder statesmen, institutional memory, not really day-to-day politics.
Right, respected figures.
And he has a broader point. Consult religious leaders, civil society groups. Yeah. The idea seems to be ensuring the transition has wide national support, legitimacy.
So military intervention, but guided by respected civilian elders. Okay. This whole demand hinges on this great danger he mentioned. What or who is this danger?
Right. That takes us to the core conspiracy or theory he's putting forward. He uses classic deep state language, a government within a government.
Yeah.
Or remote controllers.
Okay. Familiar terms.
Yeah. He describes this unelected group operating in the shadows, wielding huge influence, using state institutions, for their own gain, financial gain, political power, outside of any public checks.
But he doesn't just leave it vague, does he? In the Tanzanian context, he puts a specific name on it.
He does, very explicitly. He calls this group the CCM network.
Yeah.
CCM is, of course, Chama-Mapinduzi, a party that's been in power for decades.
Right.
By adding network, he's pointing to, a powerful elite within or maybe alongside the official party, the ones really pulling the strings behind the scenes.
And does he name the key players? Who does he say is central to this CCM network?
He singles out three main figures, former President Jakaya Kikwete and the very powerful businessman Rostam Aziz. He names them as current leaders of this network.
Naming a former president, that's massive.
Absolutely. And he also names the late Bernard Membe, who is another major political figure. It just shows how high he's aiming with these accusations. The risk involved is enormous.
And the main allegation against this specific network, the CCM network, it goes way beyond just corruption, right? It's incredibly serious.
Oh, it's explosive. He alleges this network has been deliberately undermining the country. National development, security, all of it.
But the absolute core charge, the reason he says there's great danger now...
It's the claim, the allegation, that this network was responsible for destabilizing, undermining, and ultimately, he alleges assassinating the previous president, John Pombe Magufuli.
Wow. Just stating it plainly like that, it's tying this alleged deep state directly to the death of a sitting president.
Precisely. The scope is just huge. And that leads directly into his demands for justice. If the military were to step in, as he urges, what's the very first thing they need to do?
It sounds like investigating Magufuli's death is top of the list.
Absolutely non-negotiable for Tesha. An urgent, immediate investigation. And he specifically mentions that there are already public allegations out there. He cites Humphrey Polpol, the former CCM official, as one source suggesting Magufuli was assassinated by this same CCM network.
So Tesha is basically telling the TPDF, these rumors you've heard, they're true. Investigate them. Act on them.
That seems to be the message, yeah. Validate these claims.
Okay, which brings us to the arrests. If the CDF takes his advice, takes control, Captain Tesha gives a specific list. High-profile people who need to be arrested immediately. To answer for Magufuli's death, corruption, power abuse, who is on this extraordinary list?
It is quite an astonishing list. He demands the immediate arrest of former President Jakaya Kikwete.
Okay, we heard his name before.
And Rostam Aziz, the businessman. Also Angela Kaziga. Then there's Mombo, identified as the Director of National Security.
A current Director of National Security.
That's what the source summary indicates, yes.
Yeah.
And Abdul Kikwete, Tesha specifically points out this is the current president, Samia Suluhu Hassan's son, and accuses him directly of corruption.
Good grief. Think about that list. A former president, a major tycoon, the head of national security, the current president's son. It's like trying to decapitate the entire political and security establishment in one go.
It really dictates the whole agenda for any potential transitional government. Arrests first, then figure things out.
Yeah.
But Tesha doesn't just focus on the present or the immediate past. He connects this alleged network to a whole history of problems. To give it weight.
Right, to show it's not just about Magufuli, but a long-standing issue. How does he do that?
He links them back to the Kikwete administration from 2005 to 2015. He provides this detailed list of major corruption scandals from that era.
Why is digging up that history so important for his argument now?
Well, he needs to build a case, right? Show a pattern. That the network he's talking about isn't new. It's been operating, allegedly profiting, for decades at the country's expense. Listing these famous scandals gives people, concrete examples, proof points.
Let's quickly run through those scandals he mentioned. They really help understand the historical context he's invoking.
Yeah, they're some of the biggest corruption cases in recent Tanzanian history. There's the EPA scandal that involved billions stolen from the Bank of Tanzania's external payment arrears account. Huge sums.
I remember that one.
Then the Richmond Power contract scandal. Very controversial. He also mentions the Ratabi e-arms deal issues.
Okay.
And maybe the most infamous, the Tegeta escrow account scandal. Hundreds of millions of dollars improperly taken from a central bank account.
These are all markers of, like you said, massive high-level corruption. He's using them to say, see, this network is a criminal enterprise, and it's been going on for years.
That's exactly the connection he seems to be making. It adds historical validation to his urgent call for action now.
Okay, moving beyond the political elite. Captain Tesha also had things to say about the military itself, didn't he? And about the role of ordinary Tanzanians. What was his warning to the CDF about the TPDF's own unity?
Yeah, this is quite pointed. A warning directed inwards, you could say. He tells the CDF, essentially, if the TPDF lets itself be used by the ruling party, especially for repression or just maintaining political power,
then what?
It will break the military's unity. He warns that many soldiers already have deep personal grievances because of political actions carried out under the current government.
And did he give examples of what kind of actions are causing this internal friction, things soldiers are unhappy about?
He did. He gave a couple of specific, quite emotive examples. Things he says have caused real unease within the ranks. He mentioned the forced eviction of the Maasai people from Ngorongoro.
That's been highly controversial internationally, too.
Very. And he also cited the alleged assault on Father Katima, which was widely reported. He uses these examples to argue to the CDF that political interference is already damaging morale and loyalty within the forces.
Okay, so that warning sets up his message to the public, right? If he's telling the CDF the troops are unhappy, what does he then tell the citizens?
He basically tells them to lose their fear. He makes this claim that a large percentage, a majority perhaps, of the military is actually on their side, sympathetic to their complaints, and doesn't agree with the way things are going nationally.
That's a huge claim. So what action does he want the public to take, knowing he's supposedly urged the CDF to intervene?
He tells them to use their constitutional rights, to protest, to demand their rights. The message seems clear. The military might be ready, but the people need to show their will on the streets. It's almost a call for, like, coordinated action, civil and military.
Create the pressure from below?
Yeah, exactly.
And then there was a final warning. An incredibly stark one, aimed at anyone who might try to stop those protests. It sounded like he was trying to neutralize the police force through fear.
It's an unambiguous threat, really, aimed squarely at law enforcement or anyone else who might use violence. He warns any police officer, any individual who tries to violently suppress citizens exercising their rights, that they will not be safe and that they will be held accountable later. The implication seems to be that if the military does intervene, anyone who repressed the people will be treated as an enemy. It's a direct warning. Stand down. Don't interfere with the protests.
Okay, so let's just recap where this deep dive has taken us. We've analyzed sources describing a serving military officer stepping forward, demanding a military takeover.
Suspending elections, yeah.
Demanding the immediate arrest of incredibly high-profile figures, a former president, business leaders, security chief.
All centered around this concept of a deep state. The CCM network.
Allegedly responsible for decades of corruption, and the most explosive charge, the assassination of President Magufuli. So what does this all mean for you listening to this?
Well, the sources lay out this incredibly detailed narrative. It's got specific names, dates, historical scandals, very precise demands for military action. This isn't just some vague rant. It feels like a highly charged political document crafted to force a crisis, maybe bypass normal channels, and put immense pressure on institutional leaders, especially the CDF, to react publicly. The sheer detail makes the narrative powerful.
It certainly throws a spotlight on intense internal political struggles and ups the ante considerably. Thank you for walking us through all that detail.
Of course. And it leaves us, and you, with a really important question to think about.
Okay.
In situations like this, in countries where maybe state institutions are seen by many as compromised and the political stakes are sky high, what's the real impact when a senior military figure makes demands like this so publicly? And where exactly is that line between necessary whistleblowing, exposing danger, and an unconstitutional challenge to power itself? Something to consider.
Welcome to the Deep Dive.